Ford or GM, which is not compatible with a plug from Tesla. And obviously, I couldn't use a Tesla charging station. But now that they made this deal, how am I supposed to feel as a Ford or GM customer? Why didn't I just buy a Tesla?
I guess I thought what you were going to say was, how am I supposed to feel now that I also want an EV because I could actually charge it in places. But then I was like, no, maybe that's not what it is.
Right. Well, I thought that's where he was going to go too, because Max, that's what you're always talking about. How there, when we were talk about the expansion of ICE vehicles, it was not each OEM or each dealer didn't have to put in a gas pump. So I thought you would be pleased by this news.
No. That's a good point. And by the way, listen, I just got a text from Jim Ganther. He can't see us.
Yeah. So I'm adding LinkedIn right now. See how I'm making like a weird face? It takes a second. I am having to add them one by
So yeah,
one by
Jennifer,
one.
I agree with you. Like when,
But I love that we have such loyal viewers that they're like, hey, I can't
Where
see
are you
you.
guys at? Nice.
right,
I'm literally having to hit this one by one and hit save each time and change the time zone each time.
right. So you're right. As car dealers, we never had to build gas stations.
Right.
And originally, I think it would have been a smart idea for all the OEMs
I'm
to
muting my face while you guys
agree
are
on a
chatting.
standard plug.
I'm going to mute my face while you
Right.
guys are chatting so I can finish adding all these streams.
Okay.
Just
But
remember,
because
we are not
everybody,
supposed to be talking about the same things.
We're not.
everybody,
We're not. Stop.
everybody's an egomaniac, right? And everybody wants to have their own plug.
Yeah, but do you think, Max, that this means that's the first step towards that?
Well, I think to me, it sounds like a complete defeat for Ford and GM because they weren't good enough to build the charging infrastructure that Tesla built.
Well, I disagree, because I think that it just means, right, out of the gate they thought they were in a silo and having to do it independently. But I think that what this shows is a big step forward to say this is silly. And Tesla has how many years advanced, like a head start. So I don't think it's fair to beat up on the domestics, because they're finding a way to adapt.
But it's not about beating them up. It's about the fact that now they have to pay Tesla for their customers to use Tesla's charging stations.
Well, you know what? Somebody has to pay for the electricity, Max.
Right, but Jennifer, let's say you have this whatever, let's say a Mac E that you bought yesterday,
Okay.
and it came with a Ford plug. And then the next day you read this announcement that now you can go to a Tesla station and charge it. But when you do go there, your plug doesn't work because it doesn't fit.
So I'm sure there has to be some type of plan for that. Either there would be an adapter
Right.
at
Or
the station,
recall, right?
or a recall. Exactly. But
But the lag between the announcement and the implementation,
no.
knowing who we're dealing with, is going to be detrimental for consumer confidence in domestics.
Well, honestly, though, this might sound bad, and please forgive me, because I'm not necessarily a big Tesla fan. Seems like the negative experience is going to happen at the Tesla location and not at my Ford or Chevy dealer.
I I don't know because listen, I don't have an electric car and I'm really removed from this. I have no intentions of buying it. I don't have skin in the game.
I wish
I don't
Jason
care.
was on because he has an electric car.
Yeah,
Right.
I
I
mean,
saw a Rivian on the road for the first time.
right. I hate
So,
them all. So to me,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's Tesla, Ford, or GM. I hate them all, right? But
I hate all the
if
manufacturers.
if hypothetically speaking, if I was a Ford or GM customer, I would really be disappointed in this development.
I disagree. I disagree. But let's not get stuck on this EV conversation,
Yeah,
because
we
we
are
have been
not. We're not
talking
doing
about
that.
that a lot.
Let's say
So,
this real quick. The only thing that I cannot connect to Jim's Restream account, just for the audience so that you know, is the LinkedIn. That is under like 17-step two-factor authentication, and I am not in my home office right now.
okay.
I'm on site with a client. So if you are normally a LinkedIn viewer, that's not a thing. So I think that is where
I'll check
Bobbie was
LinkedIn because
looking.
I had shared it on LinkedIn earlier. So
Yeah, let's just make sure that that's working. We've got a lot of people on live, and I'm not seeing any chats that are coming through as well. So we'll see if now that we've connected everything there. I'd say if we're running 15 minutes behind, we're doing a pretty solid job today.
well, here's the
Pretty
thing.
solid
I
job.
agree, and I see that we're live on Facebook.
Good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
while we're getting live across all these channels, I'm going to remind everyone that we have hijacked the show. So we honestly, and not that, of course, I think that was an interesting development that Max just shared, and I had not read that or known about that yet. So I appreciate the share, but we talk a lot about EVs in the news articles. We talk a lot about what the OEM is doing. I want to talk about, let's hear from boots on the asphalt, what's going on. Tell me what you really think about something. And passionate topics, like you guys hear us rant and rave, we're giving you permission to do it. So jump in from the sidelines. Let us know. I'm going to tell you one thing that I was thinking about as we were planning, and please forgive us for our execution of this hijacking. As we were planning for this, I was thinking the one thing that I want to tell everybody what I really think about it, and this won't be the first time you guys hear me say this. I am really, really tired of the leadership not owning the days to market and getting the cars ready to go, frontline ready from trade or purchase. The amount of lag time there that could so easily be fixed, cost the dealer so much money, cost your internet team money, cost your marketing effectiveness, because you're taking 7 to 10 days, honestly, to have that ready to go. I mean, that is something that I want to say, if you can't take responsibility for it, you are going to have problems. Last week, we were talking about constricting markets and what's going to be happening in used cars in the next 6, 12, 18 months. So I want to tell you that I really think if you don't take a good hard look at that process and where you're at right now before the end of this month, you're going to be one of the ones in trouble.
So listen, you know how Brian Benstock always says there are dealers that are in a profit coma? And believe me, it trickles down to the used car manager, to the prep manager, to the service manager. So everybody is in this profit coma. So when you talk about, days to get ready, in real, combat conditions, you need to be really quick and effective. But since, there's a lot of fat, instead of, let's say, 72 hours, we can be 2.5 weeks. Easy. Right?
Yeah. And the parts situation has given everyone an easy out as this is something I've noticed over the last 12 months. Oh, we can't do it because we have to wait on a part. Well, do you really have to wait on a part, or you just don't want to put forth the effort to source it somewhere else?
Yeah, but Jennifer, also think of it this way. Forget the parts, pictures, right? The time it takes to get the cars.
Don't even get started on that.
On the website, right? It has nothing to do with parts, right? We can't even do that. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks to get pictures. Or when we get pictures, they're like in the bushes.
No, it's not acceptable.
It's out of control. Somebody just commented, I don't know if you guys can see some of these chats on here yet, but last week
and I stand by that.
I was naive. But Jen's on here. Wait, who could you have been talking to? Because I believe
No, he didn't call me naive. He called someone.
No, it wasn't Jennifer.
Who I wish I knew who had posted this. They must be in the
they must be in they're in one of the private groups.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna see if I can hunt down this person and then share them a code to see if they want to join.
Yeah, jump in, guys. Let's post a link.
You guys continue on.
Yeah, but again, listen, I'm going to stand by my statement, right? Whoever says that is naive. And I'll tell you why. Because you cannot ignore macroeconomics, right? You cannot ignore the fact that interest rates are through the roof. I'll give you an example.
Oh, it's CJ.
Right. A money factor on a Nissan Pathfinder is 0.00354. How about that for data? So if you guys are bright enough to know how to convert a money factor to an interest rate, it's 8.5%.
Hold
It's
up.
8.5%.
I actually
With
know
an
how to do that.
800 credit
Thank
score,
you.
it's 8.5%. That's insane.
It is insane.
Okay, thank you.
All right, CJ, would you like to join us? I'm coming to find you.
Okay, bounce CJ a link, but I think, but at the same time, there are controllable variables and uncontrollable variables, right? There are certain things they cannot affect. They cannot affect what's going on with the economy, but they can affect how they serve their community and the consumer by altering a stocking strategy, by looking at different ways to make sure they could put lending together. We've talked about this before. Your own used car leasing inside of the dealership, or Max, you had found super cool software at NADA in relation to that. There are ways dealers can prepare to get ahead of those uncontrollable conditions.
Right, but there are certain conditions where American consumer just cannot take it. Listen, guys, you have to understand that a payment, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine owns a Nissan dealership. So he leased a car, a Pathfinder, to his father. So he netted out everything. So if you understand math, please understand this. The sale price of the car was less than residual. And the payment was still $250 a month.
I'm just going to be crazy here. I just threw out the go ahead and anybody can join link on the
Beautiful.
That's fine.
tribe.
Jennifer, you follow what I'm saying, Jennifer?
I follow what you're saying, but
Okay.
here's the thing though, right? I don't want to deviate from the point because you were actually making a good point and then we got you sidetracked with last week's conversation. So I'm going to pull you back to the dealer taking accountability for the controllables. And one of those controllables is the days to market. You were talking about the merchandising. I think that sometimes we get a little bit over, and it is the macro, Max, you're 100% correct. We get overarching, but sometimes in that doom and gloom cloud brainstorm or topic conversations, it feels a little, what's the right
like
word?
This is a setup because Jennifer agrees with me like most of the shows now.
No, it is not. I mean, listen, that's not
She's
true.
developed a new strategy.
Right.
I feel like I'm going to give you a solid 30% of the time, Max. I'm not going to give you half.
Right, that's more
I'm going to
than
give
I
you
expected.
30%. But I want to make sure we're talking about actionable things and things happening on the asphalt. They can't affect the interest rate. But what they can do is they can make sure they're turning it faster so that they're not paying that increased floor plan expense.
Okay, so let's talk about merchandising. How many dealers are doing effective merchandising?
I think we do a lot better than we used to. What does the audience think?
Listen, a gorilla is not merchandising.
I know it is not. No, it is not. I think, and that's the question. What is your process, right? From trade or purchase to make sure you're getting to merchandising as quickly as possible.
Like, I'll give you an example. Sam Walton, right? The founder of Walmart, right? Mm-hmm. His, key to success was merchandising. Because that's how he got the attention of customers, right? And that's why they continued to go back, because there was a promotion of this, promotion of that. There was stack of this, stack of that. So for some reason, dealers completely ignore it.
I know.
Well, and I don't care if you're a Mercedes dealer or if you're a Kia dealer, it doesn't matter. Every dealer ignores it. Or they do merchandising, a little bit of merchandising inside. Like, for example, if you walk into a Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram dealership, you'll see like a Wrangler,
right
on a Ram, right? But you got to be inside to see that. What happens on the outside?
I don't know. Up here in Michigan, we call it Jeep country, which I think every state does, but they actually do pretty darn good with their merchandising. There are like
except
dirt
when the
tracks you can see from the interstate with the merchandise on it. Like we take that CDJR merchandising pretty serious here in Michigan, Max.
Right. Maybe you do, but it's not the case in the rest of the country. I hope you know that.
Well, then I guess we get to retain the claim to fame, Jeep country.
Hey,
Right.
Poops. Okay, real quick. First of all, we're gonna buy everybody we've ever met that hosts a podcast like an amazing present. This is way harder than I thought it was gonna be when Jennifer decided to take it over and then drag us along with her. But I will say
We
this,
are strong, capable people.
there are 75 different ways to invite somebody, and I have tried all of them except I just figured it out. So all you people on the side that just asked for the link, I just popped it into the thing that we don't talk about, and I'm going to pop over to all the other videos and put it too. So anybody who wants to join, now is your chance.
Yeah.
It's up and live and running, and I just tested it, so it doesn't.
Yeah, especially if you guys want to talk about your merchandising and what that process is.
I think it's a great conversation.
There's so much money tied up in it, and Max. Oh God, I can't believe. Okay, Max, you're sort of right.
What is going on here? Are we in retrograde? Is there a full moon? What?
Okay. We're not creeping up past 35%, I promise. But the question of it is it like, what are you doing? Max is talking about photos. Days to market encompasses a lot of things. And we pay so much attention to what we're doing in marketing and what our Facebook spend is returning and how many leads we're getting from that. But we're not paying attention. Now, not a lot of people are paying attention to what does my merchandising set look like? How many days does it take me to get digitally frontline ready? Because that's a good point, Max. If it can be in the shop and you can still have a nice set of photos, if you've done your estimate for recon appropriately, right? And you're sitting there, you're waiting, you know what those costs are, that price itself should be the only thing you're trying to firm up, but you should have it set appropriately. And that is the other topic. I don't want to get too far ahead, but not configuring your systems to work together and wasting time and money is the other thing that drives me crazy that I was thinking about as a topic today. Oh my gosh, we have so many links out there, and I see.
I even just tested it, and it does in fact work. So if somebody is trying to join and they're unable to, shoot me a text, 989-672-9945, or just tag me in Facebook, and I will send you the personal invite link, because it is in fact working and it's been tested.
Awesome.
Yeah. I will throw out there though, because it turns out the best way to make me be quiet during a show is to like give me a project. So that's what they're doing. But I want to throw out there, you know what I despise in merchandising right now? I'm not even going to apologize to the people who like own this company or work for it. If you can't take a picture of a car on your lot, or you don't see the value of merchandising enough to pay somebody to take the photos on your lot, paying $1,000, $1,500, I don't care if it costs $1 to do it, to hire one of the companies that feed your new cars into the digital looking front of the store is stupid. It looks terrible. It looks generic. And all it says to a customer is that you don't care enough to walk out and take a picture for them. It is not that hard, party people. Oh, we got CJ.
There he is.
Right,
oh, CJ, I can't wait for you to tell Max what you really think.
I mean, I agree with there's going to be stuff that makes it harder, but we can't control rates. We can't control the market. We can't control what values do, but there's still going to be people that need cars. And yeah, the average, person might start looking for a cheaper car. We can control that. We can control our inventory. We can control all those things. And if you sit back and you say, oh, the market's going to hell and we're not going to sell any cars, you're absolutely right. You're not going to. But if you start getting creative, if you market your owner base, market the people that are in equity, which, yes, I get that people that bought used cars 2 years ago are probably not in equity, but the people that bought used cars 4 years ago, they're probably in equity. People that bought,
you're definitely not in equity right now.
No, exactly. I mean, and that's the people that bought. I hear all the doomsday stuff, and I've heard it for the last 2 years that if you bought it 10 grand over sticker, you're going to be buried. Well, 4 years ago, people were carrying 10 grand of negative equity. I mean, yes, there's going to be a lull before incentives come back, and there's going to be a lull and all that stuff. But at some point, the lenders are only loaning, let's just say the average one 120% of invoice. No matter if you paid $5,000 below invoice or $10,000 over sticker, they're only loaning 120%. I mean, but yeah, it's going to get harder. It's going to get tougher. You're going to have to be more adaptable. But if you sit back and say, oh, we're screwed because money factors are up, interest rates are up, they're up for everybody.
Yeah.
And
CJ, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you this question. So as you're telling everybody to just ignore what Max is saying.
No, not ignore it.
No. The first thing they should do after they ignore Max, because that's the first thing they should do is ignore Max. So what is the second thing you think after they ignore him? What should they do? What should they look out to be ready? What should they start?
You have to look at everything. Look at what you're selling, what the market is telling you have to have. I mean, if the average market in your dealer market that customers can afford a 450 payment, okay, now you have to adjust for, instead of a $1,000 car, maybe now you got to stock $15,000 cars. I mean, but you can't ignore Max. You have to take the stuff that he is saying, because he's right. The interest rates are up, money factors are up. That affects every consumer, and we can't control that. So yes, interest rates are going to make cars payments higher, but now you have to adjust the car you're stocking.
Oh, we're losing him. I think it's because he said Max was right.
That's right. I'm jamming the signal.
So that is, we've got Max the Mad.
I never believe it when Jim says you're Russian, but here we go.
Right. But listen, I think the answer is yes, the interest rates and the money factors are up for everybody. But the real answer is that there are other profit centers in the dealership. And if you're going to ignore parts, service, and F&I, then shame on you. Because there will be less takers at a higher interest rate. It's just math, right? Not everybody can afford to buy a car. They might have to hold on to the car that they have.
That's true, Max. But if you are, what CJ is saying is, if you're being strategic in what you're offering to the local consumer, and some of those lower price point cars are actually going to open up more opportunities for finance, right?
Yeah, but what do you get these lower price point cars? I mean, that's not easy.
There are lots of ways to do that. We were talking about that last week.
Max,
I know, but it's not easy.
That's easy is worth having. Everybody knows that.
Right. But all I'm saying is that a lot of dealers need to focus on service, parts, and F&I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
that's
again,
a great
in
place
this
to find those cars too.
People are hesitant to pull a trigger, and everybody says that buying a car is the second biggest purchase of your life. But it's not. In most cases, it's your biggest purchase, not the second.
Right, for folks who don't own a home.
That's right. That's right. So people are hesitant. Interest rates are going up. There's inflation. There's some instability in the air. So what's the natural response? I'm going to hold on to the car I have. So if I'm going to hold on to the car I have to service it. But the unfortunate reality is that when the car is out of factory warranty, service retention goes down to almost.
Well, even before that, Max, let's talk about that. We can't, and not every dealer, again, we're saying, tell it like it is, trying to get through to a service department at most dealerships to even get an appointment or find out about something, or the wait times on it. I think that we are going to see, again, great point, but it's not just after the warranty goes, that loyalty retention starts to erode so much earlier.
I agree. And that's why, again, Jiffy Lube, Firestone, Valvoline, how come they're in business? Just think about it. It's the only reason they're in business is because car dealers are incapable. And I want to stress that, incapable of making an appointment for an oil change.
They're not
There's
incapable.
absolutely no other reason for
They're
Jiffy
not
Lube to be in
capable, but
business.
most choose not
Bobbie,
to.
give me one good reason why Jiffy Lube is in business. Just
Well,
one.
look, I don't disagree with you that the reason that companies like Jiffy Lube have an opportunity in the market is because we aren't catering to what a customer needs, wants, or making it easy for them. But that doesn't mean they're not capable. It means they're not choosing to, and or some dealers actually don't even have the ability to. Some don't have the staffing, they don't have the setup, they don't have the processes or the tech. Right? We've got CJ Lyon and Patrick O'Brien jumping on with us as well. So guys, if I don't know if you guys know we shifted subjects, but Max is trying to convince us that we should all get all our oil changes at Jiffy Lube.
Well,
No, I'm just saying that Jiffy Lube is in business because car dealers are incapable of making an oil change appointment. Right?
We actually,
But CJ, can you give me one compelling reason why Jiffy Lube is in business?
I'm just saying you're using
no,
the wrong
you're absolutely correct. And it's 100% up to the dealers to make that change, which we did. We have no appointment oil changes available. You can schedule one, which obviously puts you in front of a walk-in. But we've got 2 oil change bays that are only for oil changes only, and they are no appointment necessary. And we've come in at 8:30 a.m. and had a line of oil changes. It is a massive difference, and you're absolutely
CJ,
correct.
CJ, here's the problem, right? Car dealers, in most cases, do not have a dedicated quick lube service advisor.
Yeah.
So then there is no upsell. So when the customer comes in, it ends up being a one-line item repair order. Whereas when you go to Jiffy Lube, their mission is to upsell you a cabin filter, windshield wipers, bulbs. Come on, Patrick, you know this.
Yeah, you know
No,
what?
listen, hold on. But the goal of any service writer, whether it's a quick lube or it's a regular service writer, the goal is always to increase one-line customer pay ROs, no matter what, right? So if you're going to have a person that specifically does quick lube and their goal is to increase that loss leader one-line customer pay RO, you need to incentivize them to do it, and you need to train them just like you do your other service writers. Because a lot of times what we do is we take the guy that was really slow changing oil and we go, hey, buddy, you want to come up here and be the quick lube service writer? And he's just as slow or just as bad at that job as he was the one previous. So you have to make sure that you have the structure in place to even do something like that. Or just tell your service writers, hey, listen, we know oil changes suck. We know they're a loss leader, but the goal is to get the car on the rack and start getting things off so you can start taking a look at the opportunities to sell and upsell other items.
You know what I love about Jiffy Lubes and stuff? I love to recruit from there. Because I'll tell you what, one thing that we don't always do a great job of in service drives in automotive, and I'm saying don't always, okay, is that a service advisor is working on the car, but the writer is selling the stuff on the car. Those are salespeople. And some of the best salespeople I've ever met are people who've sold me oil changes at places like Valvoline and Jiffy Lube because I didn't want to go to the dealership and get it done. So great opportunity for recruitment. So while we're talking smack about how everybody is doing such a bad job at it, just know this is a good opportunity to visit your competition and to recruit from there as well.
Listen, that's exactly right. Because again, what happens in a car dealership, and this is just real world, guys. You can be like in a cloud thinking that something else happens, but in reality, this one-line item repair orders, all they do is reduce your effective labor rate, right? And then everybody's pissed, right? Like, why are we doing this? You know, I'm losing money.
So definitely on the overall effective labor rate, yes. But I think if you're looking at it strategically, and I will tell you, there has been a time where I have done as a marketing tactic a $9 oil change, Max. And honestly, I didn't really care about the upsell on that because what I was doing was getting as many VINs through my lane as possible so I could buy them. Mr. Where do you find all of these low cost cars?
Kind of girl get an amen.
Yeah, just the opposite of Cap One.
I had a long conversation with my brother-in-law, Chad, who was a fixed ops director for a bunch of stores in Georgia until he went to the marine industry. And we were talking about the effective labor rate and things like that. And he mentioned, he was like, yeah, but those loss leader $9.99 oil change bring me so many other opportunities for business, not just increasing the one-line pay RO. But like Jennifer said, we're where are you finding all these inexpensive vehicles? You know how much, and again, my dad was the used car manager at that time. So you know how much my dad used to love to run out to the service drive and try and buy one of those cheap cars that he could steal, and then he could, you know what I mean? Look, I stole this one. So there's so many other opportunities, but we have to, like Jennifer said, we have to actually put that back. So if we did that big loss leader campaign on those oil changes, but we're making ROI on the vehicles that we purchased from the service drive, we have to attribute that back to that campaign to ensure that we're showing.
Patrick, you have to be realistic, because Jiffy Lube does not have a sales
That's not a thing
department.
that Patrick does.
No.
Jiffy Lube does
He's
not
an
have a
idol.
sales department. Jiffy Lube does not have a used car department.
I understand that, but Jiffy Lube isn't $9.99 either.
So Jiffy Lube treats oil change as a standalone business.
Yes, they do.
Of course.
This is something that's on their P&L, right? If they don't upsell, they lose money. So all I'm saying is that if dealers start treating quickly
Have a good one.
as a standalone business, you know, yes, there are other benefits. You can acquire inventory, you can do this, you can do that.
It's
But
even more
at the end of
beneficial
the
for
day-
us as dealers, Max.
Right. But at the end of the day, Jiffy Lube is not in business of acquiring inventory. And I'll tell you this.
Hang on. Wait, Max, can I just right here, I'm going to talk to the audience since, you know, I shared with them I'm responsible for hijacking this whole show. What Max just said is Jiffy Lube is not trying to acquire the inventory. So when I tell you how I really feel about it, why don't you put a We Buy Cars vehicle acquisition campaign all around the Jiffy Lubes and those little third-party independent places around your dealership, and then start buying the cars from them, because they're not trying. Sorry.
Right.
Go ahead, Max.
You want
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. It depends. Listen, it depends.
I gotta
on
jump.
Thanks,
it
Patrick.
It depends on your priorities, right? If you want to acquire inventory, then you do what Jennifer suggested. If you want to make money changing oil and upselling other
They're
items,
not mutually exclusive, Max.
they're not, but they are for Jiffy Lube.
Yes, but not
Yes,
for
okay.
us.
So now let's take it to
Right.
the next level. So let's assume for a second that delusional Bobbie Herron is correct, right? And that
Aw, that's the nicest thing
2/3
you
of the
said to me all day.
population, or you know, 80% or 90% will be driving electric cars.
Oh, that's
Right.
what I'm delusional about. I was like, which
Right.
thing are we talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's assume she's correct. Okay. So what do you think is going to happen to Jiffy Lube? They're just going to say, well, screw it. We're closing down because we can't change oil on electric cars. Right? They're not going to do that. They're going to find a way, right, to offer other services, whether it's changing,
Right.
you know, brakes,
Tire rotations.
tire rotation, changing tires, right? They will
Becoming a
find
buy here,
a
pay
way
here.
to innovate because they don't have a sales department. They don't have
They
an
do all that already, Max. Have you been through a Jiffy Lube lately? Because I always make sure to scope out all of my competition.
Chelsea
So
Bass-
they do sell tire rotations. They're selling a lot of these other types of services. I
But
think the
right
difference
now,
is,
primarily their business is oil change.
for sure, there are businesses oil changes.
But
of
if
course.
Bobbie is correct and the electric cars will be everywhere, that means that Jiffy Lubes of the world would need to readjust their business model, and they will. That's
sure
what I'm
they
trying
will.
to say, that
Right.
they will, and they will be successful.
Yeah.
they
They're
will
on a
continue-
tablet-based sales process in a Jiffy Lube
Exactly.
lane.
And they will continue taking business from car dealers, and shame on car dealers for not understanding it.
Well, would you stop shaming everybody and say, hey, buddy, pay attention to this. Here's an inside tip I think you should catch
Oh,
on.
that should be a new thing.
So here's an inside tip that you should catch on to.
Good.
Treat your quick lube service as a standalone business.
Yes.
Look
I
at
can
you
get
being
behind
insider
that
tip.
statement.
Does that count as insider trading? Because we know the answers to these things.
I know, not if you don't say it out loud. Remember, you're here against your will.
Oh,
Well, not only can Quick Lube generate for used car department for how to purchase. I mean, Max, you're right. They can, if they're doing a correct inspection, it can easily generate business for your full service department.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's huge. So looking at other profit centers, whether it's just increasing the revenue in that one department, that's very important. But I think we have to make the most of every single opportunity. When you're looking at a market with so many uncontrollables that are going to affect your bottom line, that we're staying away from the doom and gloom, and we're talking about what you can actually do. So I think, Max's point in treating that quick lube as its own individual profit center, make sure it's a great place to train up technicians, right? You get somebody who maybe is not certified, maybe not been through all of the training, start them in the quick lube in the back, and then after so many hours, put them through training and work them up. It's a great way to make sure you constantly have techs. And then side note, because if you are acquiring a lot of those more affordable vehicles, you're going to need technicians to repair them and get them frontline ready faster, right? We were just talking about the days to market. So if it's not a CPO vehicle, that's another opportunity for your tech training program. I love that we've deviated to fixed ops. We've had some great fixed ops directors on the show in the past, and all of them talk about their technician training programs, whether it's scholarships with local actual schools or bringing them up training on the job. I think that's huge. And that's another area of opportunity in and around that quick lube as an independent business unit.
That's actually a great point. I talked to a dealer in Texas who didn't seem to have any shortage of technicians. And I was asking him, I said, how are you not being affected like the vast majority of dealers? And he said the same thing. They will allow their quick lube guys to go as far as they possibly can. And as soon as they do lose a master tech, they have another technician in line to take that spot and a quick lube guy in line to take that tech spot. And while they were still short over what they preferred, they were not having to go out and pay these $10,000 sign-on bonuses for techs that I see some people advertising.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best team members are the ones you grow up anyways, right?
But also, guys, another point, the reason why people choose to go to Jiffy Lubes of the world is the speed of execution.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that is, listen, no one is going to disagree with you on that, Max.
Thank you. Right.
I mean, I'm going to disagree with you at least 6 more times before the end of the show.
Right. But yeah. This is the key, right? The speed of execution. Just because, you have no appointment necessary quick lube in your dealership, but I have to wait 2 hours to get my oil change, I'm out. I'm never coming back. Right. And then the other question is, how many people are changing oil? Is it one person or two people?
Because, we've got two.
Oh, you mean physically?
Right.
What do you mean everybody's changing their oil, Max?
Right. So you need to have the person above and underground, right? That's the right way to do it, right? And you need to do this in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
If you do it in more than 30 minutes, people will never, ever come back, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So if your dealership decided to do this quick loop with no appointment necessary, but then you're doing it in 45, an hour and a half, 2 hours, you're pissing your customers off. They're never coming back. You're actually indoctrinating them to go to Jiffy Lube.
I would say ours, we were talking to the service department about this the other day, because once service closed, we take the phone calls and sales. And on a normal basis, yes, we are about 30 minutes. There are times where if we have an influx of people, it does take as long as an hour, but we are very upfront with people. We do tell them, appointments are available, but they are not required. And it can take up to an hour. Usually it's about a half an hour.
Yeah, set the expectation.
Yes, and that has seemed to alleviate a lot of that. But I think if we handled it the other way, like you're saying, probably most dealers do, you're absolutely correct. People sit for an hour and they're going to be mad because they're expecting 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and I think on the other side of that too, when you're looking at the experience in your service department, the opposite of Jiffy Lube is like what we see. You brought up Brian Benstock earlier with their third shift. They'll pick your car up while you're asleep, fix it,
That's
and
awesome.
get it back before you even wake up. So I think that there are a lot of opportunities. Again, The savvy operators are not going to miss any opportunity. You have to look at your statement and look at the different departments on your financial statement and decide where you're going to lean in as you travel forward, as other department margins are getting a little smaller.
So I think this is the brilliance of Brian Benstock, right? You hide in the open side, right? You tell everybody you do pickup and delivery. You show everybody your financial statement. You tell everybody that you quadrupled your RO count. You tell everybody that you doubled your dollars per repair order, knowing that 95% of your competition will never
They'll never execute
to do anything like that.
Listen, if Jim could get out of where we have him tied up as we've hijacked this show, he would say, we do not have a knowing problem in this industry. We have an execution issue.
That's 100%.
And that's, I think for me, the most frustrating part about our industry as a whole is that we have to wait until interest rates are 8-9% until we start talking about the things we need to improve on. I mean, as a whole, and I've been
CJ, we've been talking about it for the last 2 years on this show.
Yeah, I know. but our industry as a whole is just now, like Max is saying, you better be looking at fixed ops. Well, you should have looked at it while sales was crushing it and used that time to make your adaptions. Mm-hmm. I mean, just like when service is killing it, you should be using that time to put all your focus on variable. But you're right. If we don't, we wait until the end and we think, oh God, now we got to worry about fixed ops because sales is going to go down.
Yeah,
right.
it's
always something.
What'd you say, B?
It's always something.
Well, I think one of the things for me, coming into the automotive industry, the biggest adjustment, and even in the administrative side of things, is that reactive versus proactive. I've always been a very proactive person, even in running my accounting offices, right? When we went through the last recession, I put together a special schedule exception report for trade payoffs and contract cashing so I could proactively control my cash flows day to day running my stores, right? But when I stepped into operations shortly after the recession, it was mind-blowing to me at how reactive everyone was. And I had said, I was like, I had a lot of really early success, a lot in internet sales. The first month running an internet sales team, I had like a 27% increase in units sold in the first month. Mm-hmm. But it was just because we were being proactive.
Yeah.
So CJ's point, and of course we can say that, we sit here on the show and we talk about it. Getting it into real life in your store is what we really have got to focus on. And that's why, Max, I wanted to flip your perspective there instead of the shame on you to here is a tip. Here is something I'm suggesting you take a look at so that Max doesn't have to say shame on you.
Right, but guys, listen, I'm just pointing out the reality because what Jennifer is saying is right. You have to be proactive, right? But let's look at reality. If you have been in a profit coma for the last 2.5 years, you're not going to be proactive. You're going to be reactive.
Well, they're not going to have much. Again, I think right now we're still going to see, even though we're seeing used car values coming down a little bit, I think we still have another at least 6 months of cushion before people are forced to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so if you're on the show or watching the stream in one of the groups that we've been able to get it through there, remember, even though it's great right now, I was just actually talking with one of my stores yesterday about their stats for May. And I was like, yeah, but May is always awesome, man. Like it's the best month of the year for your store every single year. And that's true for so many stores of next to December or August, maybe. But we have those cyclical peaks. And so when you're looking at, here's the timeline, you can also play into that. So yes, maybe you don't believe the doom and gloom. I know we got a lot of flack on last week's show in the different groups and in the chats, but if you don't believe it right now, great. But if you can control it, and I think that's the difference as a leader in the store, it's your responsibility to make sure your team never feels it, right?
Correct.
If we do it the right way, it
Yeah.
won't come to fruition. We're just trying to help you guys.
But
We
it's
want to
also
put it in
time
a
to
positive way.
it's also time to deflate some egos.
Oh, 100%. 100%. There are guys pounding their chest because they ran
Thank you.
$8,000 a car,
Right.
and everybody ran $8,000 a car, and it drives
I'm glad
me
you guys are saying
insane.
it. The fellas don't like it when I say that. So
It drives me nuts because I don't care what you've done the last 2 years. If you want to show me your numbers from 3-4 years ago, I will be impressed if they're impressive. But the last 2 years, I don't care what they are. Everybody ran huge numbers because it was easy.
That's right.
yeah.
If you didn't run huge numbers, you should probably find a new job now.
Yeah, that's a consistent conversation that I feel like we're always having, is to say, like, you know, where I feel bad for people right now is we might have 6 months of cushion on the automotive side as dealers, and even as executive leaders in dealerships who are maybe not paid 100% on commission, but our sales teams are starting to suffer, our BDCs are starting to suffer, and it will take time before the desk realizes that that is the direct fault of the way that they're being sent back.
Yeah.
And it fortunately means that there will be a lot more turnover than there normally is, and there's already a lot of it. So that is a shame. At the same time, though, like, you know, we spend a lot of time focusing on things that we're not doing right as an industry, right? There are a lot of things, though, that are also going right now. And I think it's interesting when we're looking at articles or LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is the only thing that we are not streaming live in right now. And I wish that we were, because it's a bulk of the audience. But I find it interesting that right now, so it'll show you a live number on the screen, but I'm looking at the analytics in the back because it only shows you from certain groups. Right now, there are 72 people on this live. 72. Not commenting and not having the balls to jump on and tell us how
you really feel.
So if you watched Black Sleep video last week, I wasn't on the show, so I don't know who started what, but if you watched last week and you were one of those people that got to the side and you had your little union meeting and you ran out in your little comments and you were like,
we're streaming in that. We're streaming in that group.
Warrior. I'm going to be a keyboard warrior. We just gave you a chance to step up. I know you're not all watching us because you love us. So
listen, they might be afraid that they're going to get in trouble because we hijacked it. But I have already said on a recorded broadcast, I am accepting full responsibility for the hijacking of the.
It was her turn to get into trouble because we try to take turns with our bonus dad, and so we try to make sure that's what happens, right?
No, Bobbie's usually the one in trouble. I'm never in trouble, hence why I'm taking responsibility.
I'm funny though, and charming, and it usually gets me out of it. I'm just saying,
there's somebody.
We have. I would really love it if people took a moment. And granted, we had to start a little bit late, so we probably reduced some of our audience size for sure. But I like the format of inviting people on and giving you a chance to share your feelings with us and talk about things, because what influences you in the industry and what happens to you, it happens to all of us. It's a good opportunity to actually share some feedback. So if you guys like the style, let us know in the comments. I mean, not the style where we have to kidnap Jim, put him in a basement, and then
allegedly
can't start.
This is the first time I've been on, and I've actually enjoyed it.
Good. Well, we don't normally always have people on, but since Jennifer kidnapped Jim and decided to hijack the broadcast, we decided that we would let anybody who wanted to come in come on.
So guys, I want to make another point, right? Forget fixed ops, let's talk about sales. So I ran, and everybody knows that I'm in Spain, right? Okay.
We can tell by
I randomly Googled a Mazda dealership in the United States. I'm not going to say the name.
You want to?
On their website, and I am interested in a Mazda CX-30. It says that there are 4 available, and that the price is like whatever, $37,000. Then it says check availability, which is already stupid, right? Right, but it's stupid, Bobbie. It's stupid.
It's a call to action, but
right. Yeah. After I click check availability, this is what happened. It says, "Hi, my name is Andrea, and thank you for shopping at blah 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 Mazda.
Okay,
I'm happy to check on that for you. To ensure we'll look for the correct vehicle. Can you give me the stock number, please?"
Okay, hold on.
It's over, guys. It's
wait,
over.
my face is not supposed to make that sound. I'm sorry.
It's over, guys.
But I have a question. I have to know. When that chat bot popped up, did that occur because you hit check availability, or was that the chat that popped up in the bottom of the
No,
page?
it's because I clicked on check availability.
Right.
So
yeah,
I
because one of the things that has been shared with the industry, and I do think it's a good tactic, is taking those CTAs and not taking them to a form fill and getting them involved in an actual chat conversation, but letting it hit a chat bot that doesn't fit where they're coming from is a bad execution.
Yeah.
So
Right.
good idea, bad execution.
So
Dealers are our worst enemy.
linked. That's not normally linked to a chat that way. So
But it is a chat.
It was talked about at last year at Digital Dealer a year ago and has been sweeping across the country.
Right, but it's not normally linked to a chat that way where it's not reading off of the VDP page.
Correct.
So the intention behind that, you know what, actually, I'm really glad you brought this up, Matt. And CJ, I don't know how it works when we hit the time. It might kick you off, so I apologize if it does, because I would just let you run on. We're going a little bit over. But here's the deal. It is not a bad idea to have a chat attached to the calls to actions on your website. What is a bad idea, and where this normally happens all the time, is where you see a really cool product at a conference from a 20 group, from a friend, in a tribe, in a somewhere, and you go, ooh, I want to try that product. And then you don't facilitate during the onboarding to quality control check afterwards to make sure that the coding that was linked to the button is the correct one and not just a bottom of the page one.
Yep.
That should have been checked.
Yeah.
Because it's very obvious that you're talking to AI when that happens. So there's no reason for any of that to be happening.
And,
Listen, the bottom line is that you have to inspect what you expect. And nobody does that. Guys, if I can do this for this Mazda dealership, where's the owner?
I mean, not nobody does it.
Forget everybody. Where's the owner shopping his own website?
Yeah.
I mean, if this is not shame on you, I don't know what is. What customer is going to give you a stock number? Are you kidding me on a new car?
I'm going to defend the dealer for just a minute. So just hear me out when I say this, because we've got just a couple of minutes left. Everything needs to be quality control checked, and you do have to inspect what you expect. But I will say this. There are many times, many times that even if you're great at it, even if you have a once a week implemented or a once a month touch point for everything on your site for CTAs, which you should, if you checked it on Friday and somebody at the website company or from the other company sends something in, or somebody sends in a different source code and it's updated on a Tuesday, you're not going to see it until the next check on Friday. So Max is right. It needs to be checked all the time, but it's a full-time job to check links on a website. So you have to have somebody doing it, or you have to have at least consistency so that you know.
It's not even
or
late.
starting at implementation first and foremost.
Yeah, you got to start there. But I'm saying later. We both know that later stuff breaks. We both know that later somebody calls in from the dealership to ask a question, or a new vendor starts a totally different one. They send in a new code to the website company, and boom, all of a sudden your coding is wrong. Somebody hit a tag that they shouldn't have hit. They've moved it. It happens all the time.
It definitely does. But I think that the majority of that consumer experience friction is what I would call that. I'm clicking a button from a vehicle detail page, looking at a specific stock number, and you're going to make me start all over. That is an implementation issue, right? That was loaded into the site header and not specifically into the VDP, so that chat bot should be able to say, I see that you're looking at the 2023 Mazda CX-3 stock number, blah, blah, blah. Is this the only one you're considering? You know, something that feels like it's of value. Meet me where I am coming from.
Right.
Instead of making me work hard to have that conversation with you. Yeah. That's the whole point in shortcutting that lead form.
Right. But guys, this was completely random, right? I'm not trying to
I don't know. I think you had that set up.
No, I think really random. How about this? It's in a state where I've never been to.
It happens all the time. It's super common. That's why neither
of us. Say it's in Kentucky. It's in Kentucky. I've never been to Kentucky, although I'm a heavy bourbon drinker. I've never been to Kentucky. This is in Kentucky. Where's the owner? Where's the general manager? Where's the dealership website vendor? Right? Who thinks that this is okay?
I'm going to guess it's the OEM. I'm going to guess it's an OEM approved product they have left on there.
But I'm just saying, who thinks that this is okay?
It's not okay, Max.
It's not okay. And this is marketing 101, right?
But this is example of the profit coma that I'm talking about.
Oh, this was a problem way before. This has been a problem.
This has been a major.
I bet you money that if you check 10, you'll find 2 that are correct, and that's it. But
Well-
we cannot run over 1 hour, guys, and we have literally 1 minute and like 30 seconds left, so we got to wrap up.
Listen, I know we're all about breaking rules today, folks.
But I love this topic. I think we need to add this for next week.
I think, well, the topic of the terrible integrations on the website, or the topic of just disconnects in general.
Disconnects, website, service drive, love it. I love all of them. I'll be flying next Tuesday on my way to Women in Automotive, so I won't be on. But so let's pick one that I don't have to agree with.
Well, Max, what do you think about? Tell us how you really feel. Did you like this format?
Well, I do. I really do. But at the end of the day, I think people need to take responsibility for what they do, right? And if you happen to be a general manager, right, you should be inspecting what you're expecting. You should be on your website because this is your storefront, right? And if you don't want to do it, ask your partner, ask your spouse.
Or if you
to
don't
do it.
know what to check,
Right?
that's
Ask
also
a
a thing.
person
Call
who
me.
is not in
Offer that
automotive
service at my
retail
company.
to do that. So if you're a guy and you're a general manager, ask your wife. If you're a girl, ask your husband, who are not in the business,
Yeah.
to pretend that they are customers and tell you what the friction is, because the friction is ridiculous.
If you have a teenager, that's also a really eye-opening
Yes.
experience to have your
Yes.
teenager shop your store.
It is.
Right, because
We gotta
guys,
wrap
there's
it up,
also
boys
a
and girls.
button, besides check availability, there's another button, right? Check today's price,
Trouble.
right? Check today's price. Are you kidding me?
Well,
there's
that's a terrible
on
one
the
for
website, and then you ask me to check today's price.
That call to action will create a ton of opportunity, but it will create a ton of objections. All right, boys and girls, I am not the responsible one, but we got to end this show. We're
Okay, well, that's it, folks.
Wrap us up, Jennifer.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's all. Shoot, we're gonna make sure Jim's comfortable, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, I'm not in too much trouble.
Hold on, let's see if I know how to end this. If we're still talking in a second.